Good evening. Welcome to this special edition of Cat Space. I'm your host and moderator, Leon. And on this episode, we'll be talking the 2024 US election. First of all, please welcome the host of Cat Space podcast, Cat, and
Hi.
also regular co host, Buckets.
Hi.
Okay, so the format of this debate is as follow. Both Cat and Buckets have not been informed of the questions ahead of time. They'll be asked the same or similar questions, and they'll be allowed one rebuttal per question should they choose. Okay, you all good with that?
I'm ready.
All right. I've always been the belief ladies first. So, Kat, we're going to start this with you. Best of luck
Okay.
to both of you. All right, Kat, whose side will you be picking during the election today and why?
I am I am on Kamala Harris's side. Um, I believe we are on the cusp of history. I believe on Martin Luther King Day, she will rise as the President of the United States of America. I believe in her policies. I believe in her warmth, her empathy, and her kindness. She was a lawyer, state attorney, general attorney. She fought Big Pharma. She also now recently made Walmart and other supermarkets bring down their prices from price gouging. I think she's for the people and by the people. She's a great listener, and I think she's going to take care of the American people and also a great president for the free world. I think she'll be quite diplomatic, and I see her as someone who will do whatever she takes as a lawyer to unite the country and unite the world in peace. So I am all in for Kamala Harris.
Okay, Bucket, same question to you. Whose side will you be picking during the election today and why?
I'm going to pick Donald Trump. I think he's going to kill it, to be perfectly honest. If you didn't know already, I'm wearing red because I'm being made to. But that's only because I'm basically picking the conservative side. I just think that Kamala Harris isn't the right person to be president. I mean, she started out really strongly to begin with because she was taking over from um, Joe Biden because Joe Biden just was clearly losing the plot. But they never put her in the primaries at all, which is technically unfair. And she doesn't know how to answer questions properly. And I think the only thing she really stands for is um, the color of her skin and the fact that she's female, and not a lot else. Um, Unfortunately, and Kamala Harris has had a great long history of experience, but it doesn't appear that she knows anything about being the president of the United States or even leading an entire country. In fact, she keeps saying that she wants to unite the country, yet at the same time, she's more than happy to call people Nazis and all sorts of things, misogynists, other things that are derogatory. So it kind of sounds to me that she only wants to represent half of the country, but not all of the country. That's my 2 cents on that.
Kat, you want anything to add?
Yeah, I do. If if um if I can be fact checked, which I believe I am correct, she was actually the president of the United States for now 1 hour, 1 hour something when Joe Biden had to have a colonoscopy. She actually took over as president of the United States for a whole hour. So yes, she became Madam President for a whole hour during that time that he was having his colonoscopy done. He was in the hospital going under. I disagree. I think she's for all America when you talk about Roe v. Wade, when you talk about the women's freedom to choose what they do with their bodies, you talk about the freedom to, for the LGBTQIA plus community, the freedom to be able to live comfortably, have jobs. Um, I believe that she did say that even those who don't disagree with her, she will have them seated at her table and understand why they disagree with her and a come to a meeting place where it's all equal. I believe in the fairness of the free world. I believe in peace, and I believe as a female, I should have the freedom to say or do whatever I choose with my body. It is my right as a female. and I don't see how men in suits should make that decision for me when it's between myself and a doctor. And I think um, as a female, she makes me feel empowered and makes me feel good about myself. And I think that she's really kicking ass at the moment, going door to door knocking the night before the election. And I really think she has now turned Iowa blue. She's on the cusp of turning Philadelphia blue. And a lot of people, if you notice, you can also fact check me, that a lot of people have now started leaving Donald Trump's rallies in the droves because they have said they find his dribble boring and it's the same old crap that he keeps recycling. So I think he doesn't stand a chance anymore. He's 78 years old, and it's time for someone like Kamala. This is history in the making, and it is very exciting for me.
I'd just like to
Buckets.
something about the rallies and stuff like that. So it's probably true that Donald Trump's rallies are pretty boring and stuff like that. But that's only because Donald Trump's talking about policy that actually affects Americans. See, what Kamala Harris does is she basically invites celebrities and things like that. So she gets Beyonce and she gets other rappers and she invites Eminem and she gets all these celebrities. So it's like a rap concert and stuff like that. And so people come to her concerts in the droves because not because they give a damn about politics, but because they care a damn about the rappers that are at her rallies. Donald Trump doesn't actually do that. Um, he basically just talks about policy alone and he talks about the problems that are affecting Americans. So yes, a lot of the things that he talks about can be quite dry and boring and stuff like that, but they actually matter. People go to Kamala's rallies because they want to go to a rock concert. And that's something to worry about. That is something to really worry about because it's like they're, they're going to seeing her because of entertainment value. They're not seeing her because of real American policy.
I would like to debate this issue.
Hang on, no.
Um,
You've had your rebuttal. You've had your
okay.
rebuttal. Sorry about that. Moving on. I'm like the real moderator who will have to stop when things happen. I'm not even CNN or Fox or NBC or stuff like that. I'll have to call them up. All right. So do you feel, Kat, just to you, do you feel that the Democrats have run a strong campaign?
Absolutely. I think since they have made President Joe Biden stand down because of his age, I think Kamala Harris has proven herself to be a leader, a mother, a human being, a lawyer. Um, I think that Bucky said something about having celebrities. It's not about the celebrities. It's about what Donald Trump did wrong, which is incite saying if he loses, there's going to be a bloodbath. And also having a Republican comedian who went on his rally and said that, about the people of Puerto Rico. I didn't find that funny. I thought it was quite offensive being Lebanese. Um, I think that was a major boo-boo that he did that's going to cost him the election. Even though they said, oh, he tried to distance himself about that. I think he didn't think this through, and now this has cost him the Latino community. This has costed him the Latino votes, and I think he doesn't stand a chance anymore. Even his daughter has distanced herself from him, um, and I think Kamala Harris will do something for the people. She has brought down medication to $35 a pop, saving seniors $2,000 a year. And I think if she continues on this path, I think she will have a great presidential campaign as well as a victory when she wins come in the next day or two.
All right, Buckets, do you feel that the Republicans have run a strong campaign?
I think they actually have. Kamala Harris has done many an interview, and every time she's asked a basic question from CBS or any of other left-wing media sources, she just cannot answer it properly. Every time she's asked about, okay, what do you think about jobs or how are you going to increase the economy? The first thing she says is, well, I came from a middle class background where I knew people with small businesses. Of course, what she's talking about is the fact that her quote unquote friends with small businesses were, of course, maids that her upper class parents actually were paying for. So she really wasn't middle class. She was really upper class. She spent most of her life, even though she is American herself, she spent most of her life in Canada, a foreign country to America, even though she pretends that she's lived in America her whole life. There's also other things as she keeps saying that she's black or African. She's not actually African. She's Southeast Asian slash American kind of thing. You know, her parents are white. So it's kind of really dodgy. Her background that she
I
keeps
beg to
claiming
differ. Her
is
parents aren't white.
Hold on, Kat.
are
You'll get a chance to rebuttal in just a second. Go ahead, Phil.
you know, her background is really, really dodgy. Um, and it's quite a shame really, because Kamala shouldn't rely on race or the color of her skin to represent the United States of America. She shouldn't rely on race. It should really be about policy, and that's where Donald Trump is different. Now, Donald Trump, when he was the president of the United States never went to war. He pulled out all of the US resources out of the foreign countries for normally, which was giving hundreds of millions of dollars to foreign countries, you know, for foreign wars, which Americans were dying every single day. And he was saying, you know what, we need to put more money into America instead of foreign countries. And he didn't find it was fair that America had to pay the lion's share of the cost, where the European Union's paid basically nothing. And he was tired of that. So he stopped all the funds and put it back into America. And guess what? He created more American jobs than Obama in the first month. And the economy as in the cost of living economy, was actually cheaper in America whilst he was president. If it wasn't for COVID, okay, they would have just pretty much had the best economy in the world.
Kat,
I think you're wrong.
rebuttal.
I think you're wrong. Her background is not suspicious. Both her parents are dark. Her mother is from India. Her father is Jamaican. So her parents are not white if you look at the photos. Also, Kamala Harris does answer questions, and I think the reason why she doesn't give them the full answers is because she's stopping them from treating her like crap. And I think she knows that the media is trying to outsmart her. She's a clever woman. Great genius. She's an absolute genius, I think. And I think, again, for someone like Trump to say, these people are poisoning the blood of our nation, calling veterans suckers and losers, saying, oh, why should I go to cemeteries? They're all suckers and losers. He doesn't like prisoners captured when he said that about John McCain, talking about white supremacy, white privilege, and him saying, oh, would you rather have a dark president or would you rather have a white president? And let's keep and let's keep the lineage going, and his son Eric saying we're going to win because we're white. I think it's very scary to think if, and I know he won't get elected, but had he got elected, then we would see what happened circa 1939. And I think he gave the states the permissions to, turn females away when it came to, abortions and things like that. And he said that he wants to take care of women, whether we like it or not. And that I see that as a threat. And also the fact that he threatened Liz Cheney a couple of days ago. I don't know why he's not been arrested yet. He should be arrested, and I think he's not a president for everybody. He's only a president for some. And I know, and I will back and stand behind Kamala Harris, and I believe she will win. She will succeed in this fight, and I think this will be quite a landslide.
Buckets?
I'd like to point something out. Donald Trump didn't actually said we're going to win because we're white. In fact, Donald Trump actually said, as quote, um, his exact words were, I think it was, you're talking about two different conversations here. So the first conversation I think you're referring to when he's talking about the enemy within, that was a completely different conversation to when he was talking about white supremacists. So when he mentioned white supremacists and Nazis, he said white supremacists and Nazis should be 100% condemned. That was the first thing Donald Trump literally said from his mouth. The second thing that I think you were talking about when you said we're going to win because we're white, Donald Trump never at any period of time said that. And I think what was the third point you mentioned, which was wait, I can't quite remember. I think he was saying that Donald Trump hates races or hates
Donald
Americans.
Trump said at his rallies when he first began, would you rather have a dark president or would you have this white president? Let's keep America white. And the fact that he goes, I like our genes, and these people are poisoning the blood of our nation, and again calling veterans suckers and losers, and then threatening Liz Cheney. I mean,
I think what Donald Trump was referring to with that is he was basically okay. You may not actually not realize this, but Donald Trump actually did visit Arlington,
for
and
a
then
photo op.
well, I don't think it was a photo op. I think he just visited because he wanted to. He didn't really care about the press, but the press came anyway. But he did actually visit graves
For a
of the
photo op.
fallen.
Pat,
Um,
please.
and the one of the things that you actually did mention about um, you know soldiers being suckers or whatever is because he didn't actually want Americans joining the military to actually die. Okay. And if you actually look at his career when he was president, as I already mentioned this before, we fought no wars. Donald Trump wants people to live, but also work at the same time in America. And this is why he likes, charging tariffs to foreign countries and lowering the taxes for Americans because he thinks that the taxes in America are too high, especially on oil and other things. Another thing that you didn't actually mention was the fact that Kamala Harris was saying for 12 years straight, we're not going to support fracking. We're not going to support fracking. We're not going to support fracking in Pennsylvania. Now, when you don't support fracking, that takes away a lot of jobs from people that are struggling with unemployment, right? And then all of a sudden, Donald Trump is basically saying, look, listen, we need to support fracking because fracking creates jobs. And then Kamala Harris says, no, 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 no. We need to basically support fracking because fracking supports jobs. So it's the biggest problem with Kamala Harris is that she says one thing. She says she's against fracking for 12 years. And then all of a sudden she turns around and says, no, I'm totally for fracking. So it's very hard to go, okay, are you in support of fracking? Are you not in support of fracking? Are you supporting gun control? Are you not in support of gun control? Are you in support of open borders? Are you not in support of borders? Who do you support? What are your things? Because she keeps flip-flopping on policies, whereas you definitely know exactly what you're going to get with Donald Trump because he's not afraid to talk about issues that he's interested in and that will save and make America cheaper. That's my 2 cents on that.
Okay, that was more like 50 cents, but we'll go on with that. Okay, so to you, Kat, and you did somewhat touch on my next question, but I'm going to go to it anyway. Like any campaign, there has been missteps on the campaign trail. Which missteps have been the most significant?
I think Donald Trump's missteps again, the joke about Puerto Rico, I thought that was offensive, that was rude, that was hurtful, calling it an island of garbage. Donald Trump does not care about people. he only cares for himself. The reason why he said he's campaigning is because he's afraid of going to jail. He's afraid of being arrested and finally landing himself in jail for life. We all know Donald Trump um, is someone who's evil. I mean, he's someone who's married three different women, has children from three different women, um, and has tried to shut Stormy Daniels up so many times. And I think he's someone who I'm not going to say because I don't want to get flagged or get in trouble for this, was seen somewhere in the ocean. Okay. I'm not going to say where. We all know where.
Just say it.
No, I'm not going to because I don't want to get flagged. But I think his missteps are he's old, he's senile. He quoted recently, he called someone about some governor being from one place when he was from another. I think that's why his followers are waking up to him now. They're leaving, and I was looking on TikTok, and this interviewer said to them, "Why are you leaving?" And they said, "Because he's full of crap. He doesn't mean anything he says to us. It's all crap. We've heard him say it before. We're tired of it, and he's convinced us to leave, and we're going to swing around and we're going to vote for Kamala Harris because this guy's old. His words are tacky and tiring. No one believes him. He's violent, and he's not someone who cares for people. I mean, he wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, and he goes, "I've got somewhat of a plan." He doesn't have a plan. He's never had a plan since he's been president. Okay, the Affordable Care Act is very important because if he kills that off, a lot of people who have underlying health issues land in hospital potentially could die. He even called COVID a hoax, a democratic hoax. Okay, don't stop me on that one. He called it a democratic hoax for COVID. He knew COVID was happening. What did he do? He sent vaccines over to Russia instead of saving his own people. All the vaccines went to Russia. He didn't care for COVID.
Can you back up any
Hold on, Phil. Hold on, Phil. Are you still going, Kat?
Yeah. No, I'm done.
Okay. Phil, buckets?
For a start, Donald Trump is not guilty of any of these things. I mean, sending things over to Russia, I mean, that's ridiculous. Look, during that time, no one had a cure or a vaccine for that matter for COVID during that time when he was president. Okay, so why would he send over something to Russia that he didn't even have? The second thing that doesn't make much sense is, okay, well, the thing is, Joe Biden literally said in reference to that horrible comedian that said those horrible things, the only garbage that I can see are the followers of Trump. Now, Donald Trump has a lot of followers, which means so that means that Joe Biden has literally insulted half of America by saying you're garbage because you follow Trump. That doesn't sound like someone that wants to unite the country. That just sounds like someone that just wants to accept the Democrats and no one else. And that's why it's very dangerous. And Donald Trump's response to that was to buy a big garbage truck and basically put on "Make America Great Again." And I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
He also doesn't believe in paying overtime.
I
thought
I was still talking. But,
Hold on, Kat. You'll get a chance to rebut. Kat.
So I think a lot of the things you're saying, well, I mean, I'd like you to show me proof. There was a lot of weaponization of the media, the Biden administration would do things like mark the reminder of or the remembrance of the insurrection. That was one thing he did. Another thing he did was there was so many Time magazines with Donald Trump with a Nazi picture as the front page. Constant demonization as being called a Nazi or a white supremacist. They were putting pretty much all of their resources on trying to convict Donald Trump. they spent more money on trying to convict Donald Trump than actually fixing real American policy. And the other thing I'd like to mention was that one, you know, they've been the Democrats have been going on about how Donald Trump screwed Roe v. Wade or stopped women from having abortions. Donald Trump didn't actually stop people from having abortions. What he did instead was he gave the power to the states for them to decide and vote on whether they wanted abortion in that state or not. So it's not really up to Donald Trump because it's not up on a federal level. It's up to the states to decide whether they want abortion or not. That's why in Texas it's illegal, but in other places like California it's legal. There's also other things like if Kamala Harris really cared about Roe v. Wade, why didn't she fix it while she was vice president of the United States? And why didn't Biden fix it when he was president of the United States? If they really gave a damn about Roe v. Wade, I mean, they could have. They had 4 years to do it. Why didn't they touch Roe v. Wade? I mean, it makes kind of perfect sense. They were in power. They could have overturned it. Why didn't they overturn it? So, you know, Kamala Harris keeps blaming Donald Trump for pretty much all of these problems, but Kamala Harris is currently in power right now and she can fix whatever she wants right now, but doesn't. That's what I want.
So, Kat, your response?
We will not go back. I refuse to go back. I refuse to hear the words Donald John Trump anymore. I think he's a fascist. I think he's evil. I think he's vindictive. He's manipulative. And I believe in Kamala Harris. No man can tell me what to do with my body. No man will ever tell a female what to do with her body. It's between her and her doctor. How many women have died in the hands of Donald John Trump because they've had miscarriages? They've died first. They've not been allowed to abort. And I'm not saying, he's saying, at the 8th or 9th month, they're going to abort the baby. No. That's at the beginning. If something happens to a girl, she falls pregnant, whether it's a one-night stand or whether it's, what else I'm not going to say, and she needs to abort the child, the time to do it is then. He does not believe in the American spirit like Kamala Harris does. Kamala Harris can do it all and will do it all. She's exactly what we all need right now, especially in the free world. If we want to get out of war, she has even said her policy is to find a way to get the hostages out of Gaza. Right? Her husband is Jewish himself. The second gentleman, soon to be first gentleman of the United States, Doug Emhoff. Okay? Her other policy is Roe v. Wade. Her third policy is helping small businesses start, right? Her fifth policy is why should kids be wearing a what's it called when they go to school?
Bulletproof vest.
Bulletproof vest. Why should they have machines being scanned to make sure that there's no knife or gun being carried? We need our children safe. Also, she's also said that her policy is to make sure that no one comes in with drugs into America. And the other policy is to make sure that she has one Republican in her cabinet because she loves ideas. She runs on ideas and she works through ideas. The power of America is for someone to listen, not to ignore and go, no, I'm going to do it my way, whether you like it or not. General Milley, right, Trump's former general, has said that he tried to stop President Trump. What happened? He received death threats. Dr. Fauci received death threats. These people who work for him are receiving death threats. Kamala Harris does not send anybody death threats. She's kind. She's engaging. She listens. All her policies are exactly what people need. What's his name? Running mate. Governor Tim Walz. He signed into law years ago that kids get a free breakfast and lunch so that they can start the day with breakfast and end with lunch before home time, right? People are starving in America. What's the other thing as well? Is to bring the price gouging of supermarkets down. I think her policies are very, very clear. And this is what the free world needs right now. A woman, finally, a woman who will stand up to a man. And she has cojones. And let me tell you, I'm very proud of her. I am extremely proud of her, and I support her with every fiber of my being. And I'm going to say, go Kamala. Go Kamala Harris. We are not going back, and we never will.
Buckets?
Well, I mean, you say that no one's died. Donald Trump has killed all these women that have basically gone through abortions, or there are women that are actually died or whatever. But again, I'm going to make something clear to you. Donald Trump took the power away from himself to make the states decide whether they wanted abortion clinics or not. The second thing I'd like to bring up is that you say that Donald Trump has basically killed all these people or made death threats. The United States is currently involved in 4 wars right now and has failed to stop Putin. Like really, they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars supplying Ukraine with weapons and all sorts of stuff. It would have been much easier setting up some sort of peace arrangement and allowing them for Ukraine and Russia to be at peace, as opposed to going to war. But instead, they just kept supplying arms, just as like Australia did. So you can't just say, Kamala Harris wants peace, because since she's been in power, she's created all these wars. And I think American people are tired of going to war. Every single president, except for Trump, has taken America to some sort of war. When George Bush was in power, we went to Iraq. When George Bush Sr. was in power, we had the Gulf War. When Clinton was in power, again, we went to Iraq again. There are all these presidents that have legit taken Americans to these wars that America really didn't need to get involved in, yet got involved in because of greed. And Donald Trump just doesn't want to take his people to war. He's tired of it. It's unproductive. It kills a lot of Americans. It wastes a lot of money, when you could easily just put the money back into schools and hospitals and employment and to education. I mean, I find it amazing that most Americans today are still illiterate. Why? America is one of the richest countries in the world, and yet there are people in America that still can't read because they don't care about the education system.
And one of them.
Kat, hold up. Phil?
That's all I have to say about that right now.
Okay, no worries. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Similar to the last question about missteps, there's been politically smart moves during the campaign. Which one or ones have been the most significant, Kat?
I think bringing out Queen Bee, Beyonce. That for me was the finish line. Seeing Queen Bee, Beyonce appear on stage with Kelly Rowland, that was a home run. When you see Beyonce come out, it's like, forget it. You're toast. You're cooked, you're done, you're fried. See you later. Go back to Mar-a-Lago. Because the fact that she came out, it was the biggest upset to Trump. Now, she's had Beyonce and Kelly Rowland. She's had Alicia Keys. She's had Katy Perry. She's had Lady Gaga now. She's had Bruce Springsteen. All these artists, John Bon Jovi. She's had all these artists come out for her, but the biggest one for me, and Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift had so many people signed up at her concerts. And the fact that they're all supporting Kamala Harris, Queen Bee and Taylor Swift have done it. Game over. It's just a game. That's a game over. It's a game changer because I think America is sick of seeing old men become presidents and not last the term or last till they die, um, who don't know what's right for anybody, including their daughters or nieces or granddaughters, um, who just want to take it all in for themselves. And I think this is the grand time now for the biggest star in the world, which is Kamala Harris, to appear on stage and take her oath of office. And I think that day will be magical because it will land right on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And I think it will be somewhat of a tearjerker day because I truly believe that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. predicted that they will get to the promised land. And I think it happened with Obama. And this is going to be bigger than Obama. I mean, Obama just recently came out and endorsed her with his wife. I mean, it took him a while, but he's endorsing her. There are people going out there. AOC went out there. Um, I think it's a proud moment to know that there's someone who I can look up to and admire and go, wow, if she can do it, so can I. And the day she takes her oath of office, I will be blaring the song Who Run the World by Beyonce. I will be party central. I will blast it. I'll blast it loud. I'll be playing Fireworks by Katy Perry. I'll be playing anything by Lady Gaga. I don't care. This is a historic day. Let me tell you about Donald Trump, who says something like,
No,
for example,
we're talking about politically smart moves from Kamala Harris.
Hold on, buckets. Hold on.
I think politically smart moves, this was Kamala Harris. They knew from the inside that you had Chuck Schumer, you had Speaker Nancy Pelosi, you had Barack Obama, you had uh President Clinton, you had Hillary Clinton, you had all these people going up to Delaware to say to Joe Biden, look, you need to stand down. We need someone new. You need to pass the torch. He didn't want to. He kept fighting and fighting and fighting. And then they said to him, if you keep fighting, we're going to lose. And he passed the torch and he clenched his teeth. And he's now coming out swinging for Kamala Harris. Do I believe he's all in for her? Probably not. I think Biden is a little cold towards her. I think the words he says about her he doesn't mean. I think he's salty. But I think she's going to blow America out of the water. I think America is going to look bright once again. It's going to unite people, not just in America. I think a lot of people overseas are looking for the day, are waiting for the day with bated breath. Like, I've seen so many people on TikTok who have started to follow me and talk to me and say, my champagne's in the fridge. I've got my snacks ready. I've got my sparklers ready. I've got my American hat ready. Like, people around the world are waiting for bated breath, and this is it. Smart move, Beyonce. Smart move.
I've got my chips ready and I've got my drinks ready. Buckets. What about politically smart moves during the campaigns? Which one or ones have been the most significant?
There's a few, okay, but I reckon the smartest one.
Rattle them off. It's all good.
The smartest one, it would have to be Donald Trump working for Macca's, for a day. Hey, no, it's my turn to speak this time, okay?
No, but
I know it's a cockroach.
Hold on, Kat. Hold on, Kat. You get a chance to rebuttal in just a second, Kat.
All right. So, yeah, Donald Trump working for Macca's, feeding everyone, okay? Because when he worked for Macca's, okay, the entire left-wing media went absolutely crazy. They accused him of all sorts of things. They accused him of not paying the bill when he was giving free food out. They were just saying, oh, he's just doing this because he wants to. When Donald Trump literally went in there, got trained by McDonald's staff, congratulated them from basically working really hard, and then he really enjoyed making fries for everyone and giving fries to people. The people that actually went up to him that were surprised that he was actually serving at the counter, they all said to him, and might I add, these were people from multiple cultures: Puerto Rican, Mexican, Latino, Black, Indian. They all said they love him. It was a really, you can't say that. That's offensive. Okay, how about I do that the next time you answer a question about Kamala Harris?
Come on, guys.
So that was one of the really good things he actually did, was he actually went into the workforce. And the thing is, the left-wing media were going, oh, he's fake for doing this or whatever, but he was just like, well, I've worked for 15 minutes more than Kamala Harris at Macca's, because Kamala Harris has lied about working for Macca's. And I thought that was hilarious. And it's funny because it really gave you a sense of who Donald Trump actually was, not just political Donald Trump, but the kind of heartwarming, fun to be around Donald Trump kind of thing, the family man Donald Trump. I think that was one of the best things he does. The second thing I think he's done really well is fight woke agenda, or fight woke policies, like, for example, puberty blockers in primary school. I mean, literally, teachers today in America can actually convince legally for children to get puberty blockers. So they can either stop becoming a girl or stop becoming a guy. That is absolutely insane. We shouldn't have puberty blockers at all in high school. I do agree, or even primary school. I do agree that education needs to happen, and we need to educate our children about transgender, gay, lesbian. These things do need to happen, but we shouldn't let teachers talk for the parents and initiate puberty blockers. That is absolutely insane stuff. That is like one step below grooming. And but they do this because it's part of the woke agenda kind of thing. It's we're supposed to be all inclusive and all of this. Another really big thing that's really worked for Donald Trump is Christian values. Now Donald Trump basically, he's originally Presbyterian, but he isn't kind of one type of Christian. I mean, he's been to evangelist type churches. He's talked to televangelists before. He's mingled with different types of Christians before. But he isn't with one particular type. I'm not, honestly. Kat,
Hold on, Kat,
seriously,
please.
this is my time. All right, this is our time.
You'll,
Right?
you'll get your chance. You'll get your chance to respond to this in a moment, Kat.
Right.
Please
Okay.
wrap it.
So like, there's that. But I see one thing that's really good with Donald Trump is the fact that he's survived 2 assassination attempts. Okay, so unlike everyone else that would have been assassinated, gone into hiding, gone into police protection or whatever, okay, he's been hit twice and then just fisted it up in the air and said, fight, 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 fight. So he took literally a bullet for democracy and still kept going. Okay, that's got us, like, he had his his words and his speech prepared, but he took a bullet to the head, to the ear specifically, and still wanted to keep fighting. And they had to get all the FBI agents around him to try and protect him. But he just kept wanting to go. He goes, I just want to get my shoe. I just want to get my shoe. And he just wanted to keep fighting. Then someone tried to kill him again in Mar-a-Lago, and it was unsuccessful. Okay, so he survived 2 assassination attempts and still wants to keep fighting. I wonder if Kamala Harris, so if someone shot or even tried to shoot Kamala Harris, would Kamala Harris have the same sort of vigor, or would she have like bulletproof armor? Would she put herself under a box? What would Kamala Harris do to protect herself from being assassinated? But you know what? Donald Trump, he's more than happy to just be in the open air and talking to his people and being with his people and being with his supporters. He doesn't care. So That's a really strong point for Kamala. For Donald Trump.
Okay, Kat, you want to respond to that?
Yes, please.
Go for it.
Now, let's go back to that assassination. Okay. The Secret Service knew who the boy was. The Secret Service knew about the attempt. They turned their backs while he was climbing and put the gun down. The Secret Service knew it was going to happen. Didn't do anything for 3 whole minutes. He wasn't shot in the ear.
Yes, he was.
But it wasn't a bullet. It was like a graze. Okay?
It hit his ear.
Yes,
Hold on, Buckets.
It hit his ear, but it was a graze from the bullet. Yes, he was bleeding, but the next day he went to an interview and nothing wrong with his ear. Brand new.
He didn't have a brand new ear. He got shot.
Yes, but
Buckets,
he wore the nappy for a day, and then next day he had an interview, nothing wrong with his ear, as if nothing had happened. Okay, the CIA or the Secret Service knew what was going on. That can be fact-checked.
So you're saying that he basically that he did this himself?
Possibly. Could have been staged. There's a photo of him, of Donald Trump, with the culprit. They knew each other.
What about the fireman got caught?
Hold on, Buckets, please.
He didn't care about the fireman. He didn't care that the fireman died for him.
He did.
No, he did not.
Buckets.
He did not care about the fireman that died. God rest his soul. Did he pay for the funeral? No. He just laughed at it. Is this the type of man we want running the free world? War or not? We are in the most dangerous time of our lives. This is 2024. I refuse for us females to go back. I refuse for the world to go back. I refuse, and I'm not going to allow it. Okay? Now,
sorry.
Speaking of Bucket saying he's a Christian, he's not. And I'll tell you what, and I'll rebuttal this. Who goes to a church and holds a Bible upside down? When the Black Lives Matter was happening. He went across the street to a church, took out a Bible and held it upside down. And the other thing is, if he's such a good Christian, why was he married to 3 different women, divorced 3 different women, had children from different women? One who's currently buried at his golf course. Why did he cheat on all 3 women with different women? Why is he on certain logs, if you don't mind me saying so?
I think we're losing control of this one.
That's all I'm going to say is, I'm not angry. I'm just passionate. You want an answer? He's an answer. He's not a Christian.
I'd like
Buckets. Buckets, real quick. Go on.
Yeah. So Donald Trump is a Christian, but not every Christian is perfect. Donald Trump certainly is not perfect. The thing is about you want to talk about affairs. Kamala Harris herself had an affair with a married senator.
No, she did not.
She did.
Kat, hold on.
And you can fact check that one if you so choose.
My bad.
So the other thing you have to understand is that Donald Trump actually did visit the family of the fireman who did actually get killed. And he did visit with the family, went over to the family's house and, shared his condolences. And do you know who else called the house? Joe Biden did. Only Joe Biden, when he called up the house, that family literally hung up the phone on Joe Biden. Okay? Because they were done with the Democratic Party. Seriously. So to say that he doesn't actually care about America or Americans or the person that actually took a bullet for him, that's a complete understatement. He absolutely cared about that family. He absolutely cared about that fireman that took a bullet, because that fireman didn't try to save just Donald Trump's life. He basically tried to save his own family's life with the bullet, because he didn't want his children or his wife to be assassinated. Okay, that's the first thing. That was a horrible thing. Even Joe Biden himself said we need to give Donald Trump more protection because this shouldn't have happened. Okay, that's what Joe Biden said, and he was ashamed at the fact that this even took effect. Joe Biden, however, did wolf whistle this to happen by saying someone should bullseye this guy, and someone did, and it happened twice. So why aren't we charging Joe Biden for eliciting an attempted assassination? Because Donald Trump was charged with this. Why
Is the
don't we?
word you're looking for incite?
Yeah, the word I'm looking for is incitement.
He
You know.
also said that if he loses, that there's going to be a bloodbath.
Cat,
Kamala
cat,
Harris win.
cat.
Like you say that constantly that Donald Trump doesn't care about his own people. I think you're wrong about that. I think he does care about his people, and I think he really does love America more than you realize. But he's also been heavily demonized, and he's even explained what he actually. You keep saying that he doesn't have a financial plan or anything like that. I think he actually does, and this is what he's actually said. Let's have tariffs on foreign investment. Okay, so anyone that wants to sell a Porsche from, say, Italy, there's a tariff on that, right? But if you build a Porsche in America, you won't have any tariffs because you're effectively building a factory that's located in America. It basically means that more companies like Ford or Nissan or other companies which basically want to make a profit in the American market, they're going to have lower tax if they build it in America as opposed to, say, building it in Mexico and then selling it across the border. So he said, look, I will lower your taxes if you build in America. If you build offshore, I will not lower. I will put a tariff on your products, which will make your products more expensive. So if he has more factories in the United States, even if they're foreign companies, if they're built in the United States, then those companies can actually make more jobs for Americans in America. And that's what he wants. Okay? He wants more jobs for Americans in America. And that's the same reason why Kennedy is actually supporting Donald Trump and change from the Democrats to the Republicans because the Democrats have pretty much given up on the job market. That's my 2 cents on it.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Phil. Thank you very much. That was a pretty heated debate on that one. All right, moving on to the next question. Key battlegrounds. Now, since 2012, there is the only states that have flipped back and forth in consecutive elections have been Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And in the last couple of days before the election, Iowa has been talked about as a potential coin toss. If this is to you, Kat, if the Democrats have a chance to retain government, which state is the key to winning the election?
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania for sure.
He's asking me first.
Oh, you? Yeah.
Pennsylvania. He's already ahead in Iowa by, I think, 2 or 3 points. But Pennsylvania is the big key ticket. She's actually, I was on TikTok and I saw her in Pennsylvania knocking on doors, introducing herself to people the night before the election. There's a lot of people who are pro-Trump in Pennsylvania, but there are also a lot of people who are pro-Kamala, like myself in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is the key to walking through that door and winning. If she can turn Pennsylvania blue by tomorrow or by tonight or early morning, game over. Game over. It is over. That finito finished. She has won. But again, it's not up to myself, it's up to the American people. Now, on TikTok, it also showed they were saying, should Australia decide to vote for the American president in this election, it said 99.99999999% of Australians would vote for Kamala Harris, and the world stage she would win by a landslide. Just
Well, the good thing about that is that Australia cannot vote unless you are an American citizen and you're actually in Australia. So that's the only way you can get out and vote if you're Australian.
There's so many American expats living here who have voted for Kamala, who have spoken out. And even though I'm not American, I love America. I've dreamt of America being my home for years since I was a little girl. I have a fascination with America. I am a Democrat, you know, go hard or go home. That's why I'm wearing blue to support my girl that she wins. This is the girl, the it girl of the moment. I'm in full support of finally being able to breathe, finally having a woman who I can look up to. I can actually say, Madam President. The key battleground is Pennsylvania.
All right, Buckets, to you. To you.
Okay, so a lot of people have early voted, as you know, and
Yes.
63% of Pennsylvanians voted Trump.
No, they did not
already. Well, you can say whatever
Hold
you
on,
want.
Kat.
You're passionate about the Democrats winning, but 63% of people have so far. So 63% of the 25% of the votes that have actually come in for that particular state are Republican. And I think the reason for that is because Obama basically tried to guilt trip black African American men by saying, if you don't vote for Kamala Harris, then you're a sexist and a misogynist. No one wants to be guilt tripped into voting for a political candidate. That is that's the worst thing you can do. It's the dumbest thing you could do. Don't guilt trip anyone into voting for a particular candidate. Okay, this is why I'm always saying, look, Donald Trump as a person, like he's probably not the best quote unquote person, right? I think we can all agree on that. But he just look at the policies, all right? Concentrate. Politics is about policies. It's not meant to be about personality. Okay, it's meant to be about policy. And if you've got good policy for the nation, then personality shouldn't really count for anything. Unfortunately, Kamala Harris has been fighting this through personality and also through there's a name for it. Like she's been getting celebrities to come on and join her fight and stuff like that. And I don't think that's the right path for America, because, well, when the election's over, the celebrities go home, they do their business and whatever, and go back to work and stuff like that. But that's not going to help the unemployed. That's not going to help the people that can't afford an education. That's not going to help the people that are surviving, that can barely survive on the increase of groceries. No, you really, and this is for both Trump and Kamala Harris. You need proper policy that will help the country. And one of the biggest things in Pennsylvania is fracking, and fracking will create jobs. So you're going to go, all right, well, Donald Trump has been in support of fracking for a really long time, even prior to being a politician. Okay, whereas Kamala Harris has only been in support of fracking for 5 minutes. What's to say that Kamala Harris won't change her mind? I mean, Kamala Harris just keeps saying, "Oh yeah, I'm the person you want to support to protect the environment." You're not going to protect the environment if you don't do fracking, okay? And there have been less jobs under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden than any president to date. So tell me, people are going, all right, people that used to support Democrats for a really, really long time are jumping ship. They're either not voting at all because they don't have to, or they're just jumping to Republicans because they feel that the Republicans can better control the economy and produce more jobs. That's why they're jumping ship. They're just like, they've gotten to the bare barrel and going, what do I need to survive? Who am I going to choose in order to protect my family, protect myself, um, survive or have a better standard of living? And they're just choosing Trump because, well, to be honest, Kamala Harris just keeps throwing all these word salads and then tries to blackmail and manipulate the American people. If you don't support me, you're a sexist or a misogynist. If you don't support me, you're a Nazi. If you don't support me, you're a white supremacist. And it's so interesting because Kamala Harris keeps accusing the Trumpers and MAGA and Donald Trump himself as being a fascist. Yet at the same time, she's censored um, all these people and also rudely, very rudely demonized anyone that's a MAGA follower. I mean, what about that person that went to a Kamala Harris rally and said Jesus is Lord, and Kamala Harris literally picked him out and said, I don't think you belong here. Why don't you go to the smaller rally over there? Okay, down the street. Of course, they're referring to Donald Trump's rally. And then, of course, Donald Trump and his kids effectively just said, "Look, you're at the right rally now. You belong here. We will protect you. We will love you. Okay, we will protect. We will take the throwaways that Kamala Harris says that she won't protect." So all I'm saying is, I'm just saying like that was a missed opportunity for Kamala Harris, and she's just made it clear that she doesn't want to protect Christians.
Kat, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I think you are absolutely wrong to say, oh, she demonizes or, she manipulates her voters. I'm sorry, for you to say that, for me to hear it, it saddens me that you're a man, because I think no woman deserves to be told, oh, you're manipulating your voters and you're lying to your voters. Excuse me, she's one of the best lawyers in all of America. She'll
I
chew
don't
you
think
up
she
and
is.
Hold on, Phil. Hold on, Kat. Hold on, Buckets. Hold on.
she'll chew you up and spit you out within a second.
I know.
But the thing is, she's a kind, compassionate, wonderful human being who will lead her country and the free world moving forward. We cannot afford to go backwards. Not anymore. Not in the States. This is not 1950s or 1950s. We cannot. We need to move forward.
Do you know that?
Buckets.
Oh, sorry. Do you know
Go
that
ahead.
Kamala Harris prosecuted families, particularly parents, when their children skipped schools and would basically put them in prison for a maximum of 2 years? Do you know that actually happened? And Kamala Harris was the prosecutor for that. Did you know that happened? I mean, you keep saying to me that Kamala Harris wants to protect families, but her entire career involved destroying the family unit. There was once a lady that had a daughter that was constantly going to hospital all the time because she had a severe disability for which she had to couldn't continuously finish her term because she was extremely sick. And so Kamala Harris asked for the sheriff's department to come to her school, look at her record of how many times she skipped school. Didn't want to listen to the fact that she was skipping school to go to hospital, and then tried to persecute the family or persecute the mother for allowing the child to skip school more than 40 times. And she tried to explain that the reason why her daughter was skipping school was because she was in hospital. But Kamala Harris didn't want to listen to that. And this wasn't just one. I mean, she eventually won her case after spending like so much money on lawyers and all that. But she lost her home because of it. She lost her, she couldn't see her daughter for a year. They ended up having to live in, motels because all the time because they couldn't basically, they effectively, both of them were made homeless, all because Kamala Harris didn't want to see the human side of what was going on between the family unit and this poor girl that had these horrible disabilities. And this is Kamala Harris. She's the one saying, "I'm protecting the family unit. I'm the one protecting the family." But she wasn't protecting the family there. She destroyed the family. She destroys families. And what's worse is that she was targeting black communities because black communities were the ones most likely to fall into under the cracks. I mean, it's horror. You want to know why black people are not supporting Kamala Harris? It's because of things like this. That's why it's not because that they think they're a minority or group or whatever. It's because their whole lives have been destroyed because their school just happened, their daughter or their son just happened to skip school and they got prosecuted for it. This is honestly third world country stuff. I have no words for that. I have no words. I will list where I got my information from if that will help. But if you see some of the horror stories that Kamala Harris has had to deal with, you just like, is this the same Kamala Harris that wants to be the president of the United States? I mean, what the hell?
I think we're gonna need a lot of sourcing. I probably want all sources and stuff like that throughout this particular podcast. Moving on to the next question: has the rhetoric that has been used during this campaign been more over the top than previous elections, Kat?
Yes, absolutely. 100%. I think Donald Trump's rhetoric, again, he's lost the Latino vote. The rhetoric of you know, um, poisoning our blood, poisoning the blood of America, you know, just inciting hate and division and fear within America. I mean, families are being torn apart from each other, friends are being torn apart from each other, relatives are being torn apart from each other because if you vote Republican or you vote Democrat, families will hate each other and not want to see each other for the rest of their lives. I mean, do we want someone like that who wants consummate loyalty to him and him alone, not to the Constitution of the United States, where he said that he does not care about the Constitution, where he's asked his former VP, who isn't voting for him, Mike Pence, who said to him when it came to the votes to overturn the election when he was counting the votes. He had his own people wanting to, hurt Mike Pence. They broke into the building and they stole things from Nancy Pelosi. They were looking for Mike Pence. They did not care. They just wanted to hurt people. And they killed so many police officers. And he said there was a day about love. I'm sorry, that was not about love. And yes, I know Buckets will say, oh, but he told them to go home and, we love you, etc., etc. When he did that, there was so many takes he couldn't bring himself to saying it. He was forced to say it, and it made him sick that he had to say it in front of the camera. He chose not to say it, but he was forced to say it, and because he was forced to say it, it was not believable. His rhetoric is what's going to cause America to fall down. America will be the laughing stock of the world if he gets elected, but if he doesn't get elected, then the world is safe. His words are poison. He wants to be dictator from day one. He's said, "Oh, I want generals like, who's generals from the 1939. I want generals like that." Also, the way he spoke about, you know, other world leaders, how their people stand up and listen. He wants people like that to see him as a living God who worship him. Also, remember when remember when at the CPAC they brought in a big gold idol of Trump, and people were praying on it. They were kissing his feet. They had their hands all over it, and it's something, you know, where in the Ten Commandments, do not worship other false idols other than me. And this big gold idol, they literally were crying at it. They were bowing to it. They were kneeling to it. They were kissing his gold idol. They were worshiping at the feet. Other evangelicals had their hands on it and praying on it. I mean, this is a man who really, really sees himself as a Messiah, who says, I am the chosen one. His rhetoric is dangerous and it needs to be stopped now. That's what I'm saying. We need Kamala Harris to win because we will never see this rhetoric. He will go to president and we'll all be happy. That's what I'm going to say.
All right, Buckets.
Okay, do you think America, Donald Trump's statue is the only presidential statue to actually be in America, in Washington? What about Abraham Lincoln? There is a massive statue about Abraham Lincoln.
I'm talking in gold.
Yeah, well, it's humongous. It's absolutely humongous. It's like the biggest statue I've ever seen.
Yeah, but you do not worship
Kat,
false
hold on.
idols.
Right? Okay, so you got Benjamin Franklin, you got that's another one that's there. Pretty much any early president actually has his own statue. Eisenhower has his own statue. Okay, having statues in of presidents is actually not unusual. You might think it's a bit taboo today because there's like the Ten Commandments and all that. But having statues in America is actually not uncommon. It really isn't. Okay, that's the first thing. What was the other thing that you were basically saying? Like, look, there is rhetoric. There's lots of rhetoric that Donald Trump has said. Some of it is funny. Other of it sometimes can be quite rude. Donald Trump is famous for his rhetoric. He really is. But I mean, I guess that's just what makes Donald Trump Donald Trump. It's his rhetoric. I mean, some people find it entertaining. I certainly do. But other people find it offensive. And I just think, okay, well, like that's other people. They have a right to be offended. It's just how things are. Some of the things that Donald Trump does say can really hurt people's feelings, and that's not good. But I mean, then there's other things that kind of does make sense to Americans, kind of thing. Some things that actually do quite hit home. But I guess that's I think what America needs right now is they don't need a weakling in the presidency.
She's not a weakling.
Well, I think Joe Biden is.
So are you.
And I feel that
hold
the
on.
fact that Kamala Harris was never in the primary, whereas Gavin Newsom was a huge mistake. I mean, at least put her in the primaries, and prove that this is who they really want. Prove that could be a strong candidate for the United States. But because they never put her in the primaries, I think a lot of Americans kind of feel that was kind of rigged. Also, even though Joe Biden was losing it, and a lot of people were saying that he can't possibly lead, Kamala Harris effectively, and all the other politicians, staged a coup against him. So he was the nominated president of the United States. He was nominated to be the next president of the United States. And all of his Democratic friends staged a coup against him. They brought up things that Biden said in his 30s. And then they blackmailed him and effectively forced him to step down. That's staging a coup. I think Donald Trump really wanted to verse Biden because if he versed Biden, he knew he would have won. It would have been just a clean sweep. But you at the same time, you can't exactly say that what Kamala Harris did was kind of ethical. I don't believe that was quite ethical. If they really wanted to have um, a clean selection or a strong leader, they should have held primaries, and the Democratic Party didn't. They were too stupid to do that.
Oh, please.
All right. I don't know whether or not we should continue with what do you
Go
call it,
ahead.
rebuttals if you want. Do you
Go
want
ahead.
to? All right, so we'll go with this one here. Future rebuttals. Do you think in the future elections, both parties, Democratic and Republican, need to tone down the rhetoric, Kat?
Absolutely. If you want your voters to stay loyal to you and your campaigns and pay your grassroots and give donations and go door knocking and calling people, I think the rhetoric on both sides should tone it down. I think both sides should find a more peaceful way to campaign instead of being at each other's throat. And don't ever call her a weakling again. Should
Okay.
have we all know Kamala Harris is super smart. Okay, the man who's running for VP is super smart. But I think both sides should bring down their rhetoric and let it be a peaceful campaign run, because those that are loyal to them will keep doing that for them. They'll go on social media. They'll tell their friends. They'll tell their family members. They'll go to rallies. They'll pay donations for grassroots. They'll support the artists that come out and see them. They go door knocking and calling people. They'll do whatever it takes. Go to their businesses, their schools, their unis. They will attract a lot of attention. And you're looking at the youth nowadays in America, when the youth never cared about voting, and now they're actually stepping up because of Kamala Harris. This has never, ever, ever happened in the history of American elections except for Barack Obama. This is going to be bigger than that. Okay? America, it's not mandatory to vote. Here it is. But if they want their people, their followers to be loyal to them, then yes, turn down the rhetoric. Stop the anger, stop the hate, shake hands, act like adults, and just go on the campaign trail, mind your business. Whoever wins, wins. Good luck to you.
Buckets. Your questions to you. Do you think in the future elections, both parties, Democratic and Republicans, need to tone it down the rhetoric?
No, I don't. I tell you why. Because in America, they have freedom of speech. And you shouldn't be silenced by someone else because it doesn't quite fit in with your frame of view. And by not toning down the rhetoric, okay, you actually see how someone actually is. So if you're deeply offended by Donald Trump, by what he's saying, you know you're not going to vote for him because that's who he is. Or you might vote for him because that's how he is. Okay? I really think that toning down the rhetoric is a form of censorship. And again, if I believe that the rhetoric is what makes it political. I mean, in Australia, we are we have a lot of rhetoric in Parliament all the time. Okay, we do this in question time all the time, and it makes us laugh because, well, in Australia, we have a culture of being a larrikin. That's just who we are. So I don't think they should tone down the rhetoric because the rhetoric exposes the truth. That's my 2 cents on it.
All right. Here's one of the questions here. Let's see. How long before we have a projected winner of the upcoming US election, Kat?
24 hours, I reckon. 24 to 48 hours max.
You
Not
reckon
weeks,
24,
not
48?
months. 24 to 48 hours.
We'll have a decisive winner?
We'll have a winner within 24 to 48 hours, maybe a week, depending on now you've got expatriates who live around the world who are voting, people who have done their votes early by mail-in voting or postal voting. Those are currently being counted. very carefully. And I think once those are being counted, I think we should declare our winner projected within 24 to 48 hours, maybe give it like at least, if not 7 days. But I think it'll be before that. So about 48 hours. 48,
Buckets?
7 days, maybe.
I think it'll pay, honestly, if the last election will be a key to anything, I reckon it'll take. I mean, the hope is that it'll be concluded in 48 hours. That's the hope. But I reckon I have a funny feeling that this is going to take 3 weeks. And the reason why I say it's going to take 3 weeks is because you have to go through every single county, single state. I don't think territories have the right to vote in a US election. I think Portugal doesn't actually have the right to vote in a US election, even though it's a territory of the United
Puerto Rico,
States.
you mean?
Sorry, Puerto Rico. So I think this actually might take longer than you think. And because it's so tight, I reckon there will be arguments in politics. There isn't a doubt in my mind that Donald Trump will have his legal team ready. I 100% see that happening. And I 100% see Kamala Harris having her legal team ready as well. So I don't actually see this getting a result in say 1 or 2 days. I reckon it would probably take 3, if not 2 weeks to find a winner.
But the funny thing is, how would it be for Joe Biden to leave his own vice president a letter in the Oval Office, in the desk, resolute desk, waiting for her to be read? How funny would that be?
Well,
And it'd be her reading it from him, not someone new.
Just for the record, guys, just for the record, and for those people who they're not listening to this live, we're actually 20 minutes away from the polls being opened in Vermont. So that's the first polling station is going to be open. There's several polling sites over in Vermont that'll be open in just under 20 minutes from now, Buckets.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like that's so. I mean, I don't think they'll cover every single state in 2 days. I really don't. And there will be fights. I reckon if Donald Trump does exactly the same thing that he did last time, there's going to be recounts, and it'll take a good 2 weeks.
All right, so now these are pretty much were added last minute. To Kat, what happens to Kamala Harris if she fails to win the presidency? What happens?
I think if she fails the presidency, then I think she will concede respectfully to Trump. She might call him to say congratulations. And I think she'll move out of her vice president house and go back to the house that her and her husband live in. And I think she'll shy away from the media and maybe just, I don't know, become an author, maybe become a lawyer again. I don't know, maybe become a member of parliament. If she leaves, then yeah, I think she'll go back to her house and do something like write a book, a memoir, like most presidents do or vice presidents do. They write a memoir of their life and they tell their life story, and I can see her doing that.
And to you, Buckets, what happens if Donald Trump fails to win the presidency?
He'll probably complain about it, that's for sure. I can see him complaining about it, and he'll probably say it's rigged. I also see America getting involved in more wars and America having an extremely high unemployment rate. I also see the poverty rate getting higher. And I probably see more riots in the street, to be perfectly
I
honest.
see a civil war happening if he loses. He did say there's going to be a bloodbath if he loses.
All right, so we got closing comments now. Kat, any closing comments you'd like to say?
Yes. On behalf of all women of Australia, Kamala Harris, we support you. We love you. We stand by you. We stand with you. We will not go back ever again. You are the winner for us. We are ready for you to celebrate with you. your impending presidency, and we can't wait to raise a glass of champagne, cry some happy tears, and play some music. We look forward to your inauguration. God bless you. Stay clear-headed, stay clear-minded, get some sleep. It's been rough, it's been hard, and you are a trooper. And to the second gentleman, we look forward to clapping, knowing you are going to become the first gentleman ever in history. Stay grounded and just keep fighting on. Just fighting on and fight to the bloody end. We're right behind you, Kamala. We will not go back. From all the women in Australia, let's go, Kamala. We're ready. Let's go, Kamala!
Well, Buckets, final closing comments for you?
Yeah, I'm going to say like two things. The first thing is whether you support Trump or you support Kamala Harris, I respect the right that you have freedom of thought and freedom of speech. Because freedom of thought and freedom of speech are the most important things that we have, and they're more valued over eating food, because without them we can't speak our minds. So if you support Kamala Harris, I don't hate you. I value your opinion and I acknowledge your opinion, even though I don't agree with it. But I still value what you have to say and respect how you think. That's one thing. The second thing is Donald Trump's never going to be my president, and Kamala Harris will never be my president. Do you know why? Because I'm not American, and I don't have a say about what happens in a US election. I probably have an opinion, but my opinion really doesn't matter because I am not American. That's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. But before we go, I've got my closing comments on some of the things here that we've touched on tonight. Regarding the missteps on the campaign, one of the answers that I actually had was something that Phil said earlier on, Bucket said earlier on. One of my comments was, during the second debate with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, there was but this is my opinion and my opinion alone, a misstep was, the comment was, they're eating the dogs at the second debate. I thought that was a misstep. The only garbage I see is his supporters, Joe Biden. That was one that was mentioned by Buckets as well. Politically smart moves that happened during the campaign was switching Donald Trump to Kamala Harris. I think that was a big step in the right direction for the Democrats. If they had stuck with Joe Biden, I don't believe we'll be having a close match here at the election. Also, Donald Trump rocking up in Wisconsin in a garbage truck, as was mentioned earlier on. That was on the back of the garbage supporters comment by Joe Biden. Also, another one which was a politically smart move was Kamala Harris appearing in a cameo on Saturday Night Live just days out before the election, seeing her quote unquote self in a mirror, well, with a impersonator. So that was a politically smart move. The rhetoric from both sides have been so over the top to a point where it has whipped up both supporters on the extreme left and the extreme right to the resorting of threats and violence. Both parties need to tone it down before someone gets killed. Like we nearly had that incident on July 13, which was mentioned at Butler in Pennsylvania. Anyway, that's my closing comments. I hope you have all enjoyed this special US election edition of Catspace. I've been your host of the evening, Leon, saying good night, everybody.
Don't forget to subscribe.
And enjoy this election coverage.